Always thought family meant security. A sanctuary that no storm could penetrate. But that beautiful illusion shattered before my eyes exactly 3 months and 4 days after we buried my father. My name is Sarah. I was the youngest in the family, and my relationship with my father, Benjamin, was different. Unlike my older sister, Layla, who was ambitious and calculating like our father, I was more like our mother, who had passed away years ago, romantic and artistic. My father was always softer with me. He was proud of my paintings. The last time I was by his hospital bed, he held my hand and said, "My dear Sarah, promise me you'll continue with yourself and your art. The world needs genuine people like you." That day, I didn't understand why he specifically emphasized the word genuine. Layla, who was a lawyer, took control of everything from the day our father died. I was drowning in grief, and she was buried in paperwork and documents. She would tell me, "Dear Sarah, you have a delicate temperament. I'll handle the administrative work. You just focus on yourself." It sounded logical. I was handling my father's personal belongings in his room, folding his clothes, each item triggering a memory. One day, in his desk drawer, I found an old photo from his youth, a picture of him with a brother who had gone to Canada years ago and we had lost touch with, Kava. My father always spoke of him with a sense of regret. A strange glint in my father's eyes in that photo caught my attention for a moment, but hearing Layla's voice, I put the photo back. 2 months passed. The day Layla came home with a large envelope and said the inheritance case had to go to court was the first red flag. I asked in surprise, "Didn't our father have a will?" Layla said indifferently, "Yes, he did, but I think there are some ambiguities that need to be clarified in court. It's for the benefit of both of us." I was naive enough to believe her. I started feeling Layla's behavior was strange. When we were together, she was always whispering on her phone and would hang up quickly when she noticed me. Once I overheard her from the kitchen saying, "Yes, sure, everything is under control. She's not well at all." I thought she was talking about a client. 2 weeks before the court hearing, I found out that conversation was about me. Layla gave me an official letter from a psychiatrist stating I had to go to the clinic for a mental health assessment. I was shocked. "Layla, what is this? What's wrong with me?" she said with a seemingly concerned face. "Dear Sarah, the judge requested it himself. After that incident, you know, those nights you were agitated and crying. We have to prove you're completely fit to manage Dad's inheritance." Those agitated nights were nothing but a few nights of natural grief after my father's death. But Layla had twisted everything so skillfully that even I, for a moment, doubted my own sanity. I went to the psychiatrist. The session was normal. I talked about my feelings for my father and Layla. The doctor was very kind. But the next day, Layla went to the doctor's office alone. When I asked her why, she calmly said, "I went to give the doctor some additional information about our family history for a more accurate diagnosis." The day of the court arrived. I sat on the bench, trembling like a criminal. Layla, in her crisp black suit, looked like an angel of salvation. When it was her turn, with tearful eyes and a trembling voice, she began speaking to the judge. She talked about my emotional instability, my delusions, about my father wanting to leave part of the inheritance to someone else, and my anxiety attacks that could lead to disastrous financial decisions. All her words were small truths from my life, distorted and exaggerated to the point where I myself was starting to believe I was a dangerous mental patient. Then came the evidence. Layla presented a file of medical reports. She claimed the doctor had confirmed it based on interviews with me and my sister. The paper had the doctor's stamp and signature. The judge looked at me with pity. I had no lawyer because I thought my sister was my best lawyer. That's when I realized I didn't have a lawyer because my sister herself was my prosecutor. From shock and helplessness, I could only cry. The judge, considering the seemingly solid evidence and Layla's crocodile tears, ruled in her favor. She was appointed as my guardian and manager of all my father's assets. Outside the court, Layla was no longer crying. A triumphant smile was on her lips. She told me, "Don't worry, Sarah, as your big sister, I'll take care of you." That night, She posted a picture of a lavish dinner at a luxury restaurant on Instagram with the caption, "The victory of right over wrong. Thanks to all my supportive friends." I was in my father's house, in my room, feeling like the world had ended. Everything was lost, even my self-esteem. I remembered that old photo of my father and our cousin, Kaveh. A faint hope sparked in me. Maybe the only person who could help me was him. But how? I desperately searched his name online. Dozens of results appeared. One caught my eye, a professional profile on a business network for Kaveh Madiri, a successful financial manager in Toronto. His picture looked just like the old one, just with more wrinkles and experience. Trembling, I wrote him a message. I briefly explained the situation and asked for his help. I said Layla had taken everything and even made me look sick. I didn't expect a reply. But 2 days later, I received an email. It was from an Iranian-Canadian lawyer who claimed to have been instructed by Mr. Kaveh Madiri to immediately follow up on this case. The lawyer asked me to send any documents I had, including that old photo and anything related to my father's connection to Kaveh. I scanned and sent the photo. Layla was quickly selling off my father's assets. A week after the court ruling, our main family home was scheduled to be sold at an auction. Layla said it was necessary to pay off the so-called company debts. On the morning of the auction, Layla was proudly and happily signing the final papers in the lawyer's office. I was forced to be there too. Suddenly, the door opened. The secretary said, "A Mr. Madiri is here to see you." Layla said impatiently, "I don't have an appointment scheduled. Tell him to come another time." But before the secretary could respond, a man with remarkable composure and grace entered the room. He was wearing a simple but very elegant suit. I recognized him immediately. It was the Kaveh from the photo, but 20 years older and with incredible confidence. Layla, angry at the sight of a stranger, said, "Excuse me, who are you?" Kaveh, without even looking at Layla, walked straight towards me and handed me his card. Then he turned to Layla and said in a calm but firm voice, "I am Kaveh Madiri, Benjamin's nephew. And this is my lawyer, Ms. Hagu." The lawyer accompanying him placed a thick envelope on Layla's desk and said, "Ms. Layla, this is an urgent petition for the immediate halt of any transfer of the late Benjamin Madiri's assets, along with a request to nullify your guardianship order due to document forgery and perjury." In that moment, Layla's face turned from absolute pride to indescribable terror. The color drained from her face, and her hands began to shake. That triumphant smile was forever erased from her lips. Kaveh looked at me and said, "Your father, Benjamin, was not only a brother but my best friend. He was always worried about you, Sarah. And I promised him I would protect you if anything ever happened. I'm sorry I was late." And that's how my savior emerged from an old photo and a forgotten memory. My story doesn't end here, because the legal battle had just begun. But that day, I learned that justice always finds a way to prevail, even when you least expect it, from where you least expect it.